Hello YouTube and welcome to Full Dottle, a channel dedicated to tamping topics such as pipes, tobacco, lore, and more. I am your host, the Bearded Briarman, and without further ado, let's get lit. Welcome back everyone, and on this episode of Full Dottle, I'm going to be giving a VR to KiltedPiperSteve. He's got a black bear behind his house, and I have a story I'd like to share with you. But first, a little housekeeping. I am smoking my Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman with a forever stem, and in it I've got some FDOB Blend No. 3 Barking Squirrel. So this has been quite a few years ago, but I was raised my whole life in the woods. I've spent countless hours in deep forest, and I would consider myself a woodsman. I know the woods very well. I've hunted, been into all of that kind of stuff my whole life. But I had never encountered a black bear. Well, one summer I had prepared a hike. I was going by myself. It was basically just a bushwhacking adventure, and it was down in Cass, Arkansas, which is a very rural area. And in this area, I got an overlay, a topographical map overlay of the area. I mapped out where my course was going to be, put it all the grid coordinates into my GPS, and set out. There's a place over there, it used to be an old blueberry farm. And they had converted this big field into a venue for live music and stuff like that. They used to have, I think it was called the Mulberry Fest or something. Anyway, I was going to stop there and head off into where my trail was going to take me. Before I went, I had a buddy of my dad's tell me, hey, you know, I heard you're going hiking in Cass this weekend. I just wanted you to know, watch out for black bear. And of course, I kind of shrugged him off like, okay, I'll watch out for black bear. Because I never saw one in the woods. I figured they probably hear me, smell me, whatever, before I get there, long before they ever encounter me and take off. So I wasn't worried about black bear. But for snakes and stuff like that, I was carrying, I think, a small .22 revolver. Anyway, so I start off down, looking at my GPS. I'm on the trail that I had mapped out for myself. It wasn't a cut trail, but I was following the ley lines of, or the waypoint guidelines of my GPS that I had set into it. And I was making good time, so I stopped to have a snack, set my pack down, pulled out my food. And as I was sitting there, munching on a protein bar, I noticed that the woods were just eerily quiet. And anybody who has spent time in the woods knows that the woods usually are not very quiet, unless something's up. And so I stopped and I started watching around to find out what exactly was going on when I spotted something. What I spotted was probably about, I would say 15, not quite 20 yards in front of me. And at first, the way it looked, I thought it was a cow, but it was on its knees, hunkered down in this little, almost like a creek bed. And I thought, what in the world would a cow be doing out here, number one? Number two, why is it on its knees? Like, is its legs broken? What's going on? And number three, it's got long hair, which is unusual for cows around this area. So as I panned my head around to try to get a better look at this thing, all of a sudden it turned and looked at me. And when it turned and looked at me, I mean, I could feel the blood drain from my body, because what I thought was a cow was actually a large black bear. And so I immediately froze. I didn't really know what to do, but in the back of my mind, I was playing, what would Bear Grylls tell me to do? And so I thought Bear Grylls would say, be as large as you can. So I lifted my hands up, and I thought Bear Grylls would say to shout at the bear to try to frighten it off. So I lifted my hands up and I go, "Rah! Rah!" And I thought, don't growl at it, stupid. You know, tell it to get out of here. So I was like, get out of here, bear. Well, finally the bear kind of rolled its eyes at me. No joke. The bear looked at me and went, and walked beside me and out of the woods. And I turned around, went back to my car, and went home. It terrified me. I was not prepared to find a black bear in the woods. So I rushed home and I started reading everything I could find on black bears. Little did I know, the chances of you being attacked by a black bear, even if it has cubs, you're more likely to be struck by lightning twice in the same place on the same day than you are to be attacked by black bears. Black bears are generally very timid. Even with cubs, they will attack, but for the most part, they will bluff charge and try to bluff their way to get you to leave than actually attack you. We've had a few attacks here in Arkansas, so it's not uncommon, but it's actually a misunderstanding, a misconception that it is really dangerous to get between a bear and her cubs. That is true for brown bears, things like the grizzly bear. But for a black bear, it's a lot less dangerous. They are a lot more timid than a brown bear. Now, that doesn't mean you need to try to get in between a black bear and her cubs. But if you find yourself in that situation, the best thing to do is to step backwards, walk away backwards, and believe it or not, with a black bear, they say that your best course of action if you are attacked is to fight back as aggressively as possible, which I don't know how in the world I would be able to do that, but that's what they say. So I bought myself an alarm system. It was one of those that you just set it up and it was a trip wire. If something trips it, it sets off this extremely loud alarm. And I went back 2 weeks after that with air horns, the trip wire alarm system, and a 45 the next time, and set up my camp that night and actually encountered a fox, which was a little unusual, but that's another story for another day. So I've got a few more stories. I've got one more about a black bear and a buddy of mine that went camping with me, but I'll save that for another video some other time. I do want to mention that my 500 subscription giveaway will end on March 26th. I believe that is a Friday next week. And so March 26th, I will take the entries for the GAW, and I will do like I've done in the past. I will use Google Assistant to draw a random number between 1 and however many entries I have, and then we'll find the winner that way. So that's going to do it for this episode of Full Dottle. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And until the next time we see each other, I bid you farewell and happy piping. Bye, everyone. Have you enlisted in the Full Dottle platoon yet? It's easy. Just click the subscribe button. Also, hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload the next episode.